Hey, hey, hey. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We have 1 minute to showtime. 1 minute. I popped on just a tad bit early. So come on in. We'll let everybody get on in here. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from, what you offer to the government. And while we're doing that, I'm going to, that's too much. Invite everybody to come join us and let them know we are here live and in full effect. So come on in, let us know who you are, where you're joining from. I'm just sharing this out onto social media to let everybody know that we are live and we are here and we're going to make it pop. Make it pop, pop, pop. So I'm excited what I'm sharing here with you guys today. So come on in, let us know who you are, where you're joining from. And I'm going to take that out. There we go. Come on in, come on in. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from, what you offer to the government, or what do you plan to offer to the government. So I'm just sharing this out to social media, let everybody know that we're here live and we're getting ready to get started. While we're doing that, come in, let us know who you are, where you're joining from, and what you offer to the government. I want to know. Everybody wants to know. A lot of times we be chatting it up in the chat section, and you guys are free to share who you are, make connections while we're here in the chat. I actually highly encourage that because one of the things we like to do is partner, collab, right? Team on projects. And the only way to do that is to build relationships, which we talk about that sometimes. So definitely let us know who you are and where you're joining from, what you offer to the government. All right. All right, so who do we have here? And tell us your name. So if your name doesn't show up, you have to tell us your name, okay? So we'll know who you are because we have Honest and Goodness. It says from Maryland, so welcome, but we don't know who you are, so let us know your name. We have Rob from Michigan. What part of Michigan? Because I'm wondering if that's the Rob I know. So we have Rob from Michigan. Of course, you guys know I'm from Michigan. So welcome, welcome. Annette. How do you pronounce that? Probably one T. From Maryland, welcome, welcome. Trina from Memphis, Tennessee. Welcome, welcome. I can't remember if Tina was in the boot camp or not. You have to tell us. So come on in. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from, and what you offer. Burning Heart Fellowship. So we have Josh and Tina in the house. They're in the current boot camp. Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you guys are at. Latoya from Chicago, Illinois. This may be Latoya that just joined the boot camp, possibly. I don't know the last name here, so it could be, or it could be a prior student because we've had Latoya before. So I don't know. So anyway, come on in, let us know who you are, where you're joining from. Today, we're going to be talking about contract documents. And if you've been paying attention, you've been hanging around the community for a while, we have been making a shift. A lot of what I share, let me make sure my volume's up. A lot of what I share is around, how to bid government contracts, how to find government contracts, what you need to have in place to even become a government contractor. So all of the foundational things that you need to have in place, we talk about that here on the channel. But I want to take it up a notch. This year, we're taking it up a notch because a lot of you guys have joined my Contractors Edge Bootcamp, or you've worked with me privately and you're evolving. So we have to evolve together. And a part of that, and it's needed anyway, is to talk about the things that you need to have in place and the things that you'll need to do after the award, because it's going to happen, right? Eventually, that's the goal, and you're going to do the work to make it happen. So I want to start preparing you guys for that. After the award, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different things you need to think about, consider, depending on the contract opportunity, how long the contract is, how large the contract is, you'll need to start adding team. Again, that's why I tell you guys over here in the chat, connect, let us know who you are, where you're joining from, and what you offer to the government. In the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, we've even added a Facebook group now. So if you're watching this and you're a prior Facebook, you're a prior Contractors Edge Bootcamp student, not of the course, but of the bootcamp, then you can come join the Facebook group. So we have a Facebook group for you guys now. So if you haven't requested to join the group, you should have received an email with the link, and you have to request and we'll let you in. And that's for you guys to connect further and also, get support from other people in the community that's doing the same thing as you. And of course, I pop in there time to time as well. So we've created that community so that even after you go through the course material, you're still able to stay connected with like-minded people, because a lot of times it's only you and your family that's doing this type of thing. And so you need other people to connect with. So Robert says he's from Detroit. Okay. I still don't know. Do I know you personally? I don't know. I'm curious. I might. It's possible. All right. So let's dive into today. So what we're going to be talking about today is contract documents. Again, after you're awarded the contract, right? And you all should be bidding contracts. You should always be bidding contracts, right? Once you get your foundation set, you should be bidding opportunities consistently. Remember, I always say consistency builds momentum and momentum builds cash flow. So you should always be bidding opportunities. But I want you to be prepared for when you win the contract, because it will happen. I know sometimes it seems like it'll take a little longer than what we would like. But what better way to spend that time? One, bidding contracts, and two, preparing for the award. And so that's why we're going to talk about a few of the documents that you should have created, your templates in place, so that when you win a contract, you only have to fill in the blanks, get those contracts executed or agreements executed, and begin working the contract. All right, so here we go. The first one is going to be, of course, the contract. You know that, right? Once you're awarded the contract, you'll receive a contract from your customer or prime contractor, depending. If it's the government, they'll send you the contract for you to sign and agree to the terms and all that great stuff. If you're working with a prime contractor and you're the subcontractor, they'll send you a contract to lock you into that deal. So, everything works off of a contract. If you're doing private sector work right now, maybe some residential or things like that, or even corporate, you may have to create the contract and then they sign and agree to it. Okay. So it just depends on who's your customer at the time as to who will initiate the contract. So with that being said, just depending on how your business is positioned, who's your customer, what type of agencies, industries, and different things you're working in, you may need to also have your contract template in place. All right. So if you don't have that, that's something to write down. Make sure you do that. The second thing is your subcontractor agreement. Again, depending on what side of the deal table you're on, you will either have the subcontractor agreement that you've written, or you will be given a subcontractor agreement. If you plan to sub out any portion of the work, any portion, you should have a subcontractor agreement. Too often I'm seeing you guys out there, you're doing projects and work and things like that, and you're not putting things in writing. If it's not in writing, a lot of times it gets forgotten. If it's not in writing, what I've seen happen a lot of times is, as you guys begin to do the work, money starts to flow, people forget some zeros. So they forget what they said. And then it's always like the numbers change, the agreement change, and things like that, which affects your bottom line, your money. So we always want to have things in writing. I always say, if it wasn't in writing, it wasn't said. If it wasn't in writing, it wasn't agreed upon. Okay. Handshakes no longer work. You need to get it in writing. Okay. Another document you're going to want to have is a non-compete document. The non-compete document may work, or you may use it when maybe you bring on a subcontractor to work with you, or if you have an employee, independent contractors that you're working with, things like that. You may want to give them a non-compete agreement to where they're not going after your customer, and they can't like go and do work within, up under your customer for a certain period of time. If you have a staffing agency, that's a must. If you're going to sub out work, it's a must. And especially if you're going to have people go to the site or interact with your customer, you should have a non-compete agreement in place. Okay. These are lessons learned. I'm telling you guys. Another document is a non-disclosure document you may want to have. And it could be because you don't want people to share your numbers, like how much the contract was awarded for, where you're getting your supplies from, who's your vendor contact, all those type of things. Non-disclosure, meaning whatever is going on in your business, you don't want them to share it out to other people. Okay, so you want to have a non-disclosure agreement as well. And then the last one you want to consider, and this will be used, just depending on how you structure people working with you and things like that, but your employment agreement. So you're going to want to have your employment agreement. And here's the thing. When you're working with people, especially in government contracting, just because of the nature of things, get it in writing. Like even your employees, outline for them what they're going to do, how much you're going to pay them, the whole nine. Have everything in writing. Okay. So let's recap. What are we going to have? These contracts. So you're going to have your contracts. You're going to have your subcontractor agreement. You're going to have your non-compete agreement, your non-disclosure agreement, and then your employment agreement. Now, of course, there could be other agreements that you may have and put in place. These are some of the major ones that you're going to want to have ready to go, so you can pull the trigger immediately once you're awarded the contract. Because let me tell you, once you're awarded the contract, the time frame that you may have for notice to proceed may not be a lot of time. And so at that point, of course, you should have already talked to people, know who you're going to put in these different positions and things like that. But then you can execute by sending out the necessary documents and get the deal locked down, and that they're agreeing to the timelines and timeframes that you have in place to deliver on your promise to the government. So that's why it's important. So if it's not in writing, it never happened. Okay, so you want to have it in writing. Some of the things that are usually forgotten, especially when you don't put stuff in writing, and even when you put it in writing, they may still forget it, but then you can refer back to the document and say, no, remember, this is what we agreed upon, or this is how that's supposed to be laid out. So timelines, dates, especially due dates, dollar amounts, numbers, all of those things get forgotten. Even sometimes when you talk about scope of work, which you would put into your subcontractor agreement, you would have that in your contract, right? Sometimes people forget what was in the scope of work. Were they going to double lace it or single lace it? Right? Especially if it's an either or option where you could, decide one or the other. They may try to do the single. Why? To save money. So you want to just make sure you have everything in writing. Everything. Okay. Let's see. What else? So let's talk about how to create the document. So you can create the documents yourself. That's an option. And you could definitely start there and save yourself some money if you're going to have your attorney review your documents, which you could definitely do that. Even if you get templates from, various places, like some templates I give you guys in the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, definitely have your attorney review them, make sure they work for your state, that kind of thing, or you have the, wording necessary that you need for what you're doing. So you always take the templates and, take them, tweak them, make them your own, but then you can have your attorney look at the document. So it's a lot less expensive if you create the document and then have your attorney look at it versus having your attorney create the document from scratch for you. So you have that option. Yeah. So if you have any questions about documents that you need to have in place, definitely put it in the chat right now, and then I'll answer a few questions for you guys. And if you haven't introduced yourself and you want to do that, go ahead and let us know who you are, where you're joining from, what you offer. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos, and like this video. Give it a thumbs up. All right. And then I don't know if we have any new people here today, but if we do, just so you know, my name is Felicia over at FeliciaStreeter.com, where I help small businesses, contractors, service professionals win contracts with the federal government. All right, so that's what we cover on the channel: government contracting, business, the whole spectrum of what you need to have in place to bid, win, and deliver on your promise. Okay. All right, so if you have any questions, go ahead, pop them in the chat. And for those of you that have been hanging around, I always get questions about the Contractors Edge Bootcamp. And I think last week I kind of told you guys that we were making some changes. So let me tell you about some of the changes we've made. So the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, it is still, you can use the link First Bid Done Fast. We also have the link of the Contractors Edge Bootcamp.com. So it's easy for you to remember. You can just type in the Contractors Edge Bootcamp and it'll take you right there to the page. So that's the URL, the Contractors Edge Bootcamp. We've added a Facebook group. I talked about that in the beginning. So we now have a Facebook group so that we'll have a community. You can stay in the Facebook group for the duration. And it's for you guys to connect. Even in the Facebook group, when you first join, I tell you guys, let us know who you are, where you're joining from, what you offer. In there, we'll be talking about events, networking, things like that. So people will be sharing events that's coming up, so that maybe it's something that you haven't heard about. I have students that share bid opportunities. They send them to my email. And so I'm instructing them to put those in the Facebook group as well. You'll be able to, share your wins, what you're working on, your challenges, what your needs are. So if you have a contract and you're looking for someone to partner with, you can, source the group for that and see if you can find someone in the area that you need, especially for you guys that are looking to do contracting opportunities across state lines. And you may not want to travel everywhere, but you're looking to do a project in Florida, but you're in California. So maybe you partner with someone in Florida, and that way you don't have to always be in Florida to deliver on the promise. You'll have someone boots to the ground there. So that's what the group is about. The Facebook group itself is for that community, for that support. We're also going to have, different call times. So we're going to be adding an additional call time later in the day. I don't know how late in the day or how late in the evening it'll be, so that I have some people that's working projects during the day, or they're still in their job and they're not able to join during the lunchtime hour. So we'll also be adding another call session. Let's see what else. Yeah. And so when you join, you'll be able to join and attend 6 sessions. So in addition to the course material, the on-demand training modules, you'll be able to attend 6 group sessions with me, where, we connect, and they told you about it last week in the chat, that, you're able to come. I help you individually in the group setting. So, you get to get your questions answered. I help you with direction and all of that, bidding contracts. That's the goal. We want to talk about that. And so I help you with all of that during the live session. So you're able to come to 6 sessions. And you can't spit them out like, okay, one this month, one every month over 6 months. It doesn't work like that. Once you sign up, you'll come to the 6 next live sessions. Okay, if that makes sense. So you'll come to the next 6 live sessions, because if you spread it out, you don't have any momentum. We have to get that momentum. We have to get that consistency, because that's what builds the cash flow. And so I want to be able to support you through the process, not you're doing a piece here and a piece there. 6 weeks, let's make some stuff happen. And so that's how that's outlined. I think that's it. Yeah. All of the information is on the page. You can check it out, the Contractors Edge Bootcamp.com. So all of the information is there. Let me put the link. But I just wanted to share the updates that we've made, because I'm so excited about that. And there may be more to come. You never know. You never know. All right. So let's see if you guys have any questions before we wrap up. Floyd Gordon, hi. This is your first time? We must have talked somewhere, or we're connected on social media somewhere because your name looks familiar, but welcome. Latoya says, okay, so off topic here, but you're new to the boot camp. Will you get the Zoom link for your lives? Yes, you will. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, ma'am. And we have you down. So nope. I saw you signed up. So we're going to make sure you have your links. So no worries there. And welcome to the boot camp, by the way. Trina is an independent contractor for life insurance, interested in government contracting. Awesome. Good. Okay. I had a lady, I don't know if Latricia's on here today, but Latricia helps me a lot on my back end, and she was on Clubhouse, I think yesterday. And whatever group she was in, it was, I don't know. But anyway, the lady was saying how I think she's a psychiatrist or something like that, she said, and she had government contracts. And that's why I tell people the government buys pretty much everything. But anyway, the people in the group had no idea what she was talking about when she said government contracting. So here's what I challenge you guys to do is to share out this training, right, to your community, because there's a lot of people that are not aware about the opportunities available to them as a contractor with the government, and the government pretty much buys everything. And here's the thing, there's enough to go around. Sometimes people don't like to share things because they think it's going to take away from what they will get. There's enough to go around. The government spends trillions every year, and I can guarantee you, I can't do all the work, and neither can you. So there's enough to go around. So when you have great information, share it out to your community, because one, they'll appreciate it, and then they'll reciprocate. So you definitely want to make sure you're sharing out, value to your community and your friends and family, colleagues, okay? School friends, All right, let's see. Robert says, how long does it take to get paid from subcontracts? Well, great question, Robert, but I'm going to refer you back to the subcontractor agreement. So here's the thing. In your subcontractor agreement, you guys should have already established when you're going to get paid. So for example, there's various ways you could get paid. And so it just depends on what you guys agree upon. And that's why you want to make sure you get everything in writing. Remember I said timeline, dates, dollar amount, numbers, right? So you want to make sure you agree upon those things before you start working. Now, ideally, okay, let me tell you how the private sector works, just in case you're wondering. So let me tell you guys this. And I don't know where exactly your question is coming from, Robert, but I can gather. So here's what happens, private sector. And I work with clients, private sector. They do both private and federal work. So, I know the drill. Here's how they're going to pay you for the most part. As the prime contractor, whether it's federal, could be a little bit different, but let's talk private sector. So you have the prime contractor, you're the subcontractor, and you have the customer, right? If it's a one-off contract, that's one thing. If it's a longer contract, it's another thing. If it's a longer contract and the customer, say they pay every 30 days. Okay. So what happens is you have to do the work for 30 days, then you invoice your customer, and then they'll usually pay you, maybe it's in 14 days, maybe it's sooner. It depends. A lot of times it's 14 days. Let me tell you why. And it hasn't changed. But what happens is back in the day, everything was done by check, right? So remember, when you put those large checks into your bank account, they usually hold them for 7 to 10 days, right? Especially if it's an out-of-state check. And because they're waiting for the funds to clear. And so with that being said, remember you invoiced after doing work for 30 days. So now that's 30 days gone. Now you invoice and say they pay you within 14 days. So now you're talking 45 days. And then your prime has to then turn around and pay you, which maybe is another 7 days. So you could be looking at 45 to 60 days, especially on that first payment. After that, if it's a longer term contract, you'll get into the rotation. But in most cases, they're not going to pay you until they're paid. Now, today, everything is done electronically for the most part. So the payments do hit faster, but they're still probably not going to pay you before they're paid. So especially on that first one, it could be 30 days. Even if it's an opportunity where maybe you go in and do a week's worth of work, just depending on how they're going to be paid is going to be in turn how they're going to pay you. And a lot of times, especially when you get into larger companies, there's more paperwork and things like that. It may be 30 days, 45 days. And that's why you have to have cash flow. I talk about that in the Contractors Edge Bootcamp. In Module 1, we talk about your business preferences. We talk about capacity. And part of capacity is your ability to float your projects until they can float themselves. And that's one of the reasons why. So that's a great question. Great question. And allowed me to give a great example. So thanks, Robert, for asking that. Floyd says, do you do one-on-one for business startup? Yes. However, the investment to work with me privately is usually around $10,000 to start. Okay. So Floyd, what I would say, if you're just getting started in government contracting, and no matter what the investment is, I always encourage people to start with the boot camp because you need the foundational things first. And the investment is a lot lower, but it's going to give you the foundational things. And then, you'll have those things in place. And then when you're ready to start actually bidding contracts is where it's a great time if you want to start working together privately one-on-one. But if you need to, get your business foundation set up as a government contractor, you need to learn how to find opportunities to bid, figure out who's your customer, how to read those solicitations, break them down, pull out the requirements, write your scope of work, write your proposal, and bid contracts. I'm going to point you right back to the Contractors Edge Bootcamp because that's where we lay the foundation and create that solid foundation. And so that's where I point everybody if you're just getting started. So I would encourage you, Floyd, check out the Contractors Edge Bootcamp. Now, I know most people, they'd be like, oh, I want one-on-one. The community is great too. Don't discount it. As I can't remember who said it last week, and they were here for the chat, but one of my bootcamp students said they even like the part of listening to other people's questions and the answers I give them. So they're learning about things that maybe they have not encountered yet, but more than likely they will. And now they have the answer. Or somebody asks a question that they didn't think to ask, but it was beneficial for them too. So that's why I encourage the Contractors Edge Bootcamp as a step one. Also in the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, because we are growing, and just so you guys know, this month, March, I'm only taking 20 students into the Contractors Edge Bootcamp. That's it. I only let so many people in at a time anyway, because I like to talk to you one-on-one, have a conversation with you, learn about your business. And then although it's in a group setting, it's on Zoom, but it also allows me to help you one-on-one in a group setting. So you still get the one-on-one support. It's just in a group setting. Okay. So yeah, Floyd, check out the contractorsedgebootcamp.com. Trina says, how do I get started as an independent contractor? So I don't know. What do you mean by that? How do you get started as far as what? As with government contracts? And what are you going to offer? Tell me that too. So if you came to the party late, while we wait on Trina's answer, or if anyone else have a question, pop it in. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from, and what you offer. And if you want to check out the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, you can go over to the contractorsedgebootcamp.com. So if Trina, if you're still here, let me know. What do you mean? Getting started as a government contractor? And I think I answered all the other questions. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome, Floyd. Okay, I don't know if Trina's still here. So I'm just going to say, Trina, I'm going to gather you're just asking as far as getting into government contracting, maybe. I don't know. So one, you guys want to have your entity structure set up. You want to have your tax ID. You need your DUNS number. You want to have your banking set up. You know, your mailing address, all, you know, foundational things of any business will have. Once you do those things, then you're going to do your SAM registration. After your SAM registration, you know, you'll get your certifications, all the certifications for which you qualify. And then after that, you can start bidding contracts. And really, I encourage you to start bidding contracts while you're doing your certifications. Okay, let's get the money flowing as quickly as possible. Trina, I'm going to also, if anyone is just interested in the steps, it's like, okay, what steps do I need to take to become a government contractor? I do have a training, a mini training. It's called the sequencing formula to getting government contracts. So I lay out the steps in sequence order of what you need to do to prepare and be ready to start bidding government contracts. If you're ready to take it to the next level, you're ready to start bidding contracts, even if you still need to do your SAM registration, because I cover that in the boot camp as well. I cover doing your certifications, everything that you need, and you want support from me, then the boot camp is the place to be. But here is, let me see. Here's the link for the sequencing formula if you want to check that out. But if you're going to join the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, you don't need the sequencing formula. So don't pay for that. If you just want the steps and that's it, check out the sequencing formula. Okay. GB, good afternoon. This is your first time joining. Welcome to the community. So let's see. Latoya says, due to the pandemic, do you have any tips for reaching out to primes and subs? We can definitely talk about this in the boot camp, but I'm going to riff off a couple places. And I also have other trainings here on the channel where we talk about marketing activities and things like that. I'm actually thinking about doing a mini training on marketing activities and business development that you should do, even with the timelines and how to follow up and all of that. So I'm thinking about doing a mini training on that. I probably will. And yeah, so I'm thinking about that. I may do like a masterclass or a workshop, maybe. I don't know. And because I have like Excel spreadsheets that I use with my private clients and Trello boards that you can use. So I'm thinking about sharing that, doing a training. Let me know. Would you guys be interested in that? Put a 1 in the chat if you would. So the marketing activities that you should be doing, the agencies and things like that, who's your customer, who you should be reaching out to, how you should be doing business development, how often the follow-up, what maybe to say and things like that. So I'm thinking about putting that into a training for you guys. Okay, so back to the question at hand. Reaching out to primes and subs. So online, right? Pandemic. Here's the first thing, and I told you guys this. I'm sure I say this all the time because somebody always talk about it. The government is still doing business. Companies are still doing business. Okay, they're still networking. They're still doing conferences and things like that. They're just online. And once you get registered and do your foundational things, a lot of that stuff you will receive in your email. I get emails every week, multiple times a week, about events, about bid opportunities, okay, in my email. So it's still going on. You just haven't maybe registered or did the things you need to do to be visible, which I talk about that. The other thing is, you know, you can check LinkedIn, depending on what you're looking for, right? But LinkedIn, you can Instagram. If you do something that's visual, people are always showing before and after pictures and things like that. Again, a lot of your organizations, associations, they're online holding their conferences and events and things like that. So yeah, you just have to get out there and look. Oh, Michael has the sequencing. Awesome. Awesome. So you should have the steps. So he has the sequencing formula. So you should have the steps unless you just signed up for it. Maybe you're just going through it, but the steps are laid out. Everything you need to do to set a solid government foundation. And it takes you right up to the next step is learning how to be it. So awesome. Okay, so GB says, I have completed my SAM registration. It was approved, so I am waiting for them to give me my cage code. Well, once they approve it, they give you the cage code. So I would go back and look at the email and see if it's in there. Okay. All right, awesome. Michael says 7 steps. Yes, I give you the steps. Yes, yes, yes. We like to walk it out, and I like to walk it out with you. So I like to give you sequence steps. And maybe that's just my experience of teaching 1st and 2nd grade, teaching at the college level. You know, I'm able to take something and put it into a curriculum that people can follow and actually learn from. So I don't know. All right. Well, if there's no final questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up. I hope you guys jotted down the different documents I shared that you should have in place and the next step for you. So let me give you a call to action. Well, let me give you something to execute on first. So those documents, you're going to want to start creating your documents so that you have them in place. That's number 1. And then the call to action. If you need help, you want support moving forward with your government contracting business. I gave you 2 options. If you just need the steps, you want to know what you would have to do, what things you need to do to set the foundation. You can check out the sequencing formula. It's over at FeliciaStreeter.com/sequencing. It's also in the shop on the website. If you want help with bidding contracts, getting to 6 figures or more in your business as a government contractor, then check out the Contractors Edge Bootcamp, because you do know that 1 to 2 contracts could definitely get you across the 6-figure mark, just depending on what you're offering. So the opportunity is there for you guys to get those larger and longer contracts. And so if you want support in that, check out the Contractors Edge Bootcamp. Again, we're only taking 20 students this month. We started February. This is March, February, and we had 43 students. So this month we're only taking 20, just so you know. Okay, and it will fill up. All right, so definitely check that out. I appreciate you guys coming, hanging out with us during your lunchtime hour. We'll be back here next week, same time, same channel. And don't forget, I drop new videos on Thursdays as well. If this is your first time, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and go ahead and like this video. One other thing, share this video out, okay? When you see good information, share it out. Okay, there's enough to go around in government contracting, and there is not enough small businesses aware of government contracting, just as when they talk about the PPP, the EIDL. Oh yeah, I shedded some light for my bootcamp students on that, because a lot of them hadn't applied, and I'm like, okay, so I laid the groundwork for them on that. So hopefully everybody applied and got their money. But anyway, just like the PPP, the EIDL loan, a lot of small businesses are not aware of that, or they think they don't qualify and things like that. Same thing happens with government contracting. And so let's share this out today. Let's call it Share Tuesday or something. I don't know, but share this out to someone, because you probably have someone on social media, one of your social media sites, that they're in business or something like that, or they're thinking about starting their business and they don't even know about government contracting. Or they could already be in business in the private sector and just don't know how to do it. Okay. All right. So have an awesome rest of your day. Tony Ellis says, I would like to chat soon. All right. I'm here every Tuesday. I don't know if you just joined us, but yeah, I'm here every Tuesday. We can chat. I'm on Instagram. You can DM me over there on Instagram. Same name, Felicia Streeter. All right. So have an awesome rest of your day. And remember, you're just one contract away. Bye for now.